finally have time to do what I've always wanted to do, write the great American novel. Mine is about a futuristic amusement park where dinosaurs are brought to life through advanced cloning techniques. I call it Billy and the Clonosaurus. Oh, you have got to be kidding, sir. First of all, you think of an idea that's already been done, and then you give it a title that nobody could possibly like. It was on the best-selling list for 18 months, sir. Every magazine cover. One of the best-selling movies of all time, sir. What were you thinking? I mean, thank you. Come again. So, this is going to sound weird, but I actually have a slightly complicated relationship with Jurassic Park. Growing up as a kid in the early 2000s, this is a film that was just kind of always there, that never truly went away, but surprisingly, I ended up going a large portion of my life not actually seeing this film. I mean, I remembered growing up that we had a VHS copy of it. I mean, remember, this was the early 2000s, before VHS was eventually phased out. So I remember we had a VHS of it, but I only remember it being on once, and to be honest, the only parts of it I really remembered were one shot involving Samuel L. Jackson, a shot of one of the electric jeeps in the rain, and the scene where Sam Neill's character pretends to be electrocuted. That was all I really remembered of it, so yeah. But aside from that, it was one of those films that just never went away. I mean, one of the PS2 games we had growing up was the PS2 game Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, which, looking back, it was essentially a bog standard theme park creator game. You know, the likes Legoland, Roller Coaster Tycoon. It was basically a Jurassic Park version of that. You had to maintain the dinosaurs, keep them within their enclosures, make sure the visitors are happy, and also deal with weather, such as tornadoes and hurricanes. But then, of course, Jurassic World came around in 2015, and while we didn't go to see it at the cinema, I do remember we eventually got the DVD and watched it that Christmas. The film involving Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Ty Simpkins, and Nick Robinson. And then, of course, around that time, they released Lego Jurassic World, the game, which essentially allowed you to play through the events of the first 4 films in Lego. And having replayed it recently, I felt that while I had seen Jurassic World, I should probably try and see the original. But anyway, I eventually saw it recently in my local supermarket, going relatively inexpensively, so I thought, why not? So I finally bought it, and of course the original book was written by Michael Crichton, and the film is directed by Steven Spielberg. It was released in 1993, and I think finally after seeing the original from 1993, I understand now why it's become such a cultural touchstone. I mean, I remember seeing a React video somewhere where one of the clips that they had was people reacting to the iconic scene from Jurassic Park of "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and they do travel in herds. And I was just left thinking, if that's the first shot of the dinosaurs, I know it was probably good for 1993, but I don't know, it doesn't look that realistic. But upon seeing that scene now in the place where it is, I can see why people love it. And it has given way to so many kind of iconic lines for the film, including "Life finds a way." We can discuss sexism in survival situations when I get back. If Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists. And one of my personal favourites, Dr. Hammond. After careful consideration, I have decided not to endorse your park. I'm the same. So have I. I mean, yeah, I can see now why this film is so popular and why so many people love it. Now, I know everyone knows the story at this point, but for anyone who hasn't seen the film, I know it's impossible at this point, but I'm going to give a brief summary. So, Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, is a paleontologist, and Dr. Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern, is a paleobotanist. And they are called to an island by the wealthy industrialist Dr. John Hammond, played by Richard Attenborough. He brings them there because he wants them to experience Jurassic Park. they manage to find a way of bringing back dinosaurs, and he figures that if he shows them the attraction and it all goes well, then they'll give a glowing endorsement and he'll be able to set it up properly. Now, Grant and Sattler are a little apprehensive about it, but they agree to take a tour around the park along with Hammond's grandchildren, Lex and Tim Murphy, played by Ariana Richards and Joseph Mazzello, and along with a mathematician and chaos theorist named Dr. Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, and a lawyer named Donald Gennaro, played by Martin Ferrero. And basically, they're just going around there to have a look at the park and make sure everything's in order. To which he also has a scientist working for him, played by Samuel L. Jackson, i.e. Ray Arnold. But things all start going wrong when another one of his workers, Dennis Nedry, played by Wayne Knight, attempts to shut off the power because he wants to steal the dinosaur genomes and basically sell them to a rival industrialist. Now, the way that they ended up creating the dinosaurs is that back in the times of the dinosaurs, they had mosquitoes, and mosquitoes would occasionally get trapped in amber and mostly solidified. So if they can extract the DNA from the mosquito and they have the dinosaur DNA, they get that, but then also there are parts of it are incomplete, so they fill those in with frog DNA, and therefore they can recreate the dinosaurs. That's what Nedry is trying to steal, and it does lead to a couple of really iconic moments, such as Donald Gennaro, the lawyer, when they eventually get trapped, he tries to hide in a toilet, and basically the dinosaur ends up finding him and then tossing him, eating him, tossing him, and eating him again. There's also the iconic moment of when they realise that raptors can open doors, which I found another reference for recently with Mark Rober's Squirrel Maze video. He mentioned that this is kind of like how it felt when in Jurassic Park when they realised raptors could open doors. And then I think one of my favourite scenes in the entire film is actually just a moment where Grant and Lex and Tim, they manage to climb up a tree and they have to sleep in order to kind of get their strength back. So just spend the night in a tree, and Tim starts telling bad jokes, and then they just spend the night in a tree together, which I think is a really lovely scene. I mean, I think there's this undertone throughout the film of possible romantic chemistry between Sattler and Grant. I'm not entirely sure if that's really there or not, but I think she's a little hesitant about him because of how he reacts with kids. So we see very early on in the film when he's constantly putting a kid down about dinosaurs when the kid thinks they're lame. And it's nice to see him bond with two kids and bond with them really well. I mean, ultimately, I think this film is one that I do see now why so many people love it. I'll admit I was hesitant going into this film, but I now see why it's become such a cultural touchstone. I mean, okay, the effects are maybe a little cheesy, but they transfer over really well, and they are iconic. I mean, even the kind of chase scene when they're running away from the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and one of the characters looks at his wing mirror. I remembered that reference from Toy Story 2, and I suddenly see, you know what, I see why so many people want to reference this and why it's held on so long. And you know what, yeah. Okay, while I was hesitant coming into Jurassic Park and thought, I'm not entirely sure about it, after watching it through, you know what, I get it. I finally get it, and you know what, I love it. Will it make my favourite films list? Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff from recent years that I feel has done well, but once again, like with Karate Kid and some of the other older films that I've ended up reviewing, I do see why Jurassic Park has stood the test of time. There you go. There's my quick little review of Jurassic Park, and I love it. I understand. Maybe at some point I'll get around to watching through The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, but for the time being, yeah, I can see why people love Jurassic Park and why it's ultimately here today. Anyway, till my next review, see ya.